which was made for HBO and the BBC.
And for that documentary, Dan got exclusive access to all the surveillance footage inside that mall.
Right.
I figured if there were more to this story, he could tell me. So how much footage did you get, if I can ask? I mean, how many hours are out there?
The footage we obtained added up to about more than 2,000 hours.
Wow.
And we analyzed the timeline, where the cameras were, and we figured out the offsets between different cameras. We really did a huge forensic job. It's mind-numbingly tedious to watch a lot of it, but if you do go through it, you do get the key to a lot of the mysteries of Westgate.
So like me, done this project.
Open Road was some very kind of, sober, sensible people who said there were 7 terrorists. I saw 7 terrorists. I mean, you dream of being able to confirm that there were 7 gunmen. You dream of being able to confirm that they all escaped. What if that were true? What if we could find evidence, some evidence, that were true?
But in the end, he didn't.
No. As we progressed further and further with our forensic analysis, it became harder and harder to give any credit to some of the wilder pieces of eyewitness.
He says what you see on those tapes is what the FBI said you'd see. 4 guys, all Somali, no evidence they escaped.
Exactly.
Well, then how does he square the stories you were hearing with the stories you were reporting?
Well,
that part was actually quite interesting.
We had a lot of people say, yeah, there was a woman.
Young British woman they called the White Widow.
And it's interesting because when I was going through this footage, my wife looked over my shoulder.
Pointed to one of the 4 terrorists on the screen.
And at one point she said, oh, is that a girl? And we came to the conclusion that one of the gunmen was, very slender, and he actually does sashay along in what is frankly quite an effeminate way.
And similarly, he says you can justify some of the reports that one of the gunmen was an Arab because one of them did in fact have lighter skin than your average Somali. And you can explain that people thought that there were more gunmen, 10 or 15 gunmen, because there were a lot of guys with guns running around, including security guards and later policemen.
There were a lot more policemen than there were gunmen.
I did speak with one eyewitness who said that he saw one of the terrorists, change clothes and escape.
Well,
is it a story?
No, that doesn't match anything that we saw. I think the question to ask your eyewitness is how do you know this person with a weapon who changed clothes was a terrorist? It may have been a policeman. We certainly heard stories of policemen changing clothes or taking off any distinctive clothing. I don't know if those stories were true, but we heard stories. But
so people were saying that uniformed policemen took off their uniform because they didn't want to fight.
I guess, yeah. I mean, but that's pure, Greg. That's pure. I mean,
right. It's total speculation, and you did not see that on any of the security.
We certainly didn't. I mean, I just had so many conversations, like people saying to me, "No, they escaped," and I'm like, "Why do you think they escaped? These guys don't come to escape. If you escape, you fail."
He says, take the 2008 terrorist attack in Mumbai.
They had murdered 35 people at the hotel.
This is another film that he made. There's a moment in that film where one of the last remaining gunmen.
The guy is trapped in a hotel room and he's in the bathtub next to his comrade who's dead, who's dying.
He's talking to one of his handlers on the cell phone. Dan was able to get a recording of that call.
And the handlers very calmly say to him, your mission will not be a success until you are killed. And then they say to him, please leave your phone on, switched on, leave the line open in your pocket so that we can hear when you go out and are killed by the enemy security forces. So there is a whole script for this kind of operation, and it ends with the death of the gunman at the hands of the enemy.
Wow. That's how he knows they didn't escape, he says. Not just because there's no evidence on the film, but because it's the last thing they would have wanted. And yet...
I mean, the rumors that the terrorists escaped, the rumors that there was a woman amongst them, the rumors that they got changed, the rumors that they don't seem to go away even when confronted by quite solid evidence. It's almost as if the facts don't matter.
So I called Farouk. He's still sticking to his story. He says he saw what he saw, though he's really too nervous to go on tape. But I did run it by Puni, my former neighbor in Nairobi, who's
100%.
still pretty sure that the guy she saw